Hey, Richard, I was thinking a little this morning on the drive in just about how much more complicated the picture for the Fed is at this point, because I think a few weeks ago we all looked at it and thought, hey, this is easy. They've got to raise rates, and they've got to raise rates pretty quickly and continue that march to make sure that we bring down demand in some way. This morning, you've got the situation where supply chains getting cut again when you've got a city like Shenzhen shutting down. And, you know, the Fed rate hikes aren't all that helpful when it comes to supply chain troubles. If we could get through that and we were just dealing with the demand picture, that'd be another story. But inflation caused by problems in the supply chain sucks. You've also got a situation where you are looking at the problems in the EU in particular and how much they are going to be feeling the economic pain of what's happening in Ukraine. And they are going to be asking the central bank there not to raise rates as quickly because they're not going to be able to afford more pain. Will our Federal Reserve look at that and think, OK, we should go slow, too, or are we going to raise rates very quickly, knowing that that's going to mean a much sharper dollar when you've got banks like the ECB not doing the same?
Becky, that was a great analysis. And I think it's that complicated. But remember, the Fed cannot do anything about these supply constraints, not about the 17.5 million people in Shenzhen that have now been locked in. It's a big production sector for China. Not anything about what's happening in Ukraine, but we do have a runaway situation here where wages are increasing at a rapid clip, driven in part by trying to catch up with inflation. Labor has power. That's good for the workers, but it also increases the cost of production of goods and services. That's where the Fed can have significant influence.
I hear that, too. But the thing I was thinking on that front is a lot of the reason that we had these labor shortages is because we were basically paying people to stay home. We had COVID running rampant here, and we had serious problems with that and people who had very legitimate concerns. We're not paying people to stay home anymore, and COVID is not the problem that it once was here. Will it be easier to find work with or without the Fed's help?
Well, as long as the economy is growing, companies can pay. People are going to go to work, particularly if they're not being subsidized. Look, we can't undo the mess that was created by that policy, and the reason for it, of course, had to do with COVID. We have to undo excessive accommodation by the Federal Reserve. It's gone on for too long. They've now stopped expanding the balance sheet this month. Zero interest rates distort pricing decisions when you're buying securities, and also when you're borrowing money to build your businesses. And this has to be righted. And we're behind the curve. And I don't think 25 basis points or a series of moves of 25 basis points or maybe one or two of 50 basis points. Remember, Becky, look at where nominal rates are. They're still zero. Real rates are still significantly negative.
So I don't disagree. I think 25 basis points and they keep doing that is one thing. But does it change the outlook? Yeah. Does it change how much we would have seen at the end of this year? Yeah.
Richard, before we let you go.
I think it does. We have two tectonic changes here. One is de-accommodating. We've been accommodating for too long. That's one major thing that's happening, creates enormous uncertainty. What's the new economic landscape look like? And then you have the land war, driven by this neo-Nazi crazy man who now runs Russia. These are significant changes in the way people had confidence in the way the system worked. So we're going to have significant volatility, I believe, ensue, because these are changes. These are tectonic changes. And we have to see how well the Fed can maneuver this as they go through time. I don't think they know. I just know that they have to get started.